McDonald's doesn't make money from burgers and fries. In fact, what if I told you that McDonald's is secretly one of the world's largest real estate companies and most people eating there have no clue? I'm about to reveal the genius business model that turned a simple burger joint into a $42 billion real estate empire. By the end of this video, you'll never look at those golden arches the same way again. And you'll understand why McDonald's can afford to sell burgers so cheap. Here's something that will blow your mind. When you walk into a McDonald's, you think you're supporting a restaurant, but you're actually paying rent to one of the world's biggest landlords. Most people have no idea that McDonald's real business isn't selling food. It's collecting rent from people who sell food. McDonald's owns about 45% of the land and 70% of the buildings housing its restaurants. That means when you buy a Big Mac, a big chunk of that money goes straight to McDonald's corporate as rent payment from the franchisee who actually runs the restaurant. They flipped the entire model upside down. They became the landlord instead of the tenant. Here's how brilliant this is. McDonald's has a franchise model where they make money through rent and royalties, but they don't just charge franchise fees. They own the property and lease it back to franchisees at marked up prices. When a franchisee opens a McDonald's, they pay for the franchise and rent the building from McDonald's corporate. Over 60% of McDonald's total revenue comes from franchised restaurants, with 94.7% of all locations being franchised by 2022. McDonald's identifies the best locations, buys the properties, then leases them out at large markups while taking a percentage of each shop's gross sales. The answer goes back to Ray Kroc, who realized that owning real estate gave him more control and profit than just selling burgers. In the early days, franchisees needed financing for land to build restaurants, but the restaurants weren't making enough to pay the debt. Instead of seeing this as a problem, Kroc saw it as an opportunity to build a real estate empire. But here's the masterstroke that most people miss. Ray Kroc didn't just stumble into this model. He was inspired by his business partner, Harry Sonborn, who famously said, "We are not technically in the food business. We are in the real estate business. The only reason we sell 15-cent hamburgers is because they are the greatest producer of revenue from which our tenants can pay us rent." This philosophy completely changed everything. While competitors focused on making better burgers, McDonald's focused on securing better locations. They developed an entire science around site selection, studying traffic patterns, demographics, and growth projections. They weren't just opening restaurants. They were building a real estate portfolio disguised as a fast food chain. This is where McDonald's gets genius. Instead of leasing from other property owners, they purchase their own units and lease them to franchisees. The franchisees pay premium prices for brand recognition, creating a $42 billion real estate portfolio that made McDonald's one of the largest commercial real estate companies in the world. But here's where McDonald's faced a major challenge. What happens when you run out of good locations or when people start eating less fast food? This happened in the 2000s when McDonald's struggled because they focused so much on real estate that they forgot about food quality. Sales were declining. The company had to rethink their strategy. They improved food quality and updated restaurants, but didn't abandon their real estate model. Since they owned the buildings, they could mandate upgrades without negotiating with landlords. Then, COVID-19 proved how valuable this model is. While other chains struggled with rent payments, McDonald's owned their locations and could adapt quickly for drive-through and delivery. Here's where the story gets even more fascinating. McDonald's doesn't just own individual restaurant properties. They own entire shopping centers and strip malls. When you see a McDonald's in a shopping plaza, there's a good chance McDonald's owns the entire development and is collecting rent from every single business there. They're essentially playing landlord to their own competition. This strategy extends to their most valuable locations. That McDonald's on Times Square, it's not just a restaurant. It's a tourist attraction that generates millions in foot traffic for the surrounding area. McDonald's owns the building and likely collects additional revenue from the increased property values they create just by being there. But here's the most shocking part of this whole story. McDonald's makes more money from real estate than most actual real estate companies. While exact figures for rental income alone are not publicly disclosed, it's known that McDonald's real estate holdings contribute substantially to its overall profitability. Think about this. McDonald's has over 40,000 locations worldwide. Each location is carefully selected prime real estate in high-traffic areas. They own a significant portion of these properties, and they're collecting rent from every single franchisee. The financial engineering behind this is absolutely brilliant. McDonald's typically structures their leases as 20-year agreements with built-in rent increases. So while a franchisee might start paying $10,000 per month in rent, by year 20, they could be paying $20,000 or more. Meanwhile, McDonald's property values have likely doubled or tripled during that same period. This model also explains why McDonald's can keep their food prices so low. They're not trying to make huge profits on burgers and fries. The food is almost like a loss leader, something to get people in the door so franchisees can afford to pay the rent. And here's another brilliant aspect of this business model. Real estate generally appreciates over time, while food costs fluctuate. By focusing on real estate, McDonald's built a business that gets more valuable every year, regardless of what happens to burger prices. The franchising model allows McDonald's to act as a landlord, owning and leasing properties to franchisees. This creates multiple revenue streams: franchise fees, royalties, and rent payments. It's like having 3 different businesses all working together. But the real genius is in the risk management. If a franchisee fails, McDonald's still owns the real estate. They can find a new franchisee or even sell the property for a profit. The land and buildings have value beyond just the restaurant business. This risk protection became incredibly valuable during economic downturns. While other restaurant chains saw franchisees go bankrupt and lose their investments, McDonald's could simply find new operators for their existing properties. They never lost the underlying asset, the real estate. This is why McDonald's can afford to be everywhere. They're not just looking for profitable restaurant locations, they're looking for valuable real estate that will appreciate over time. Every new McDonald's is both a restaurant and a real estate investment. The scale of this operation is mind-blowing. McDonald's has become one of the largest commercial real estate companies in the world without most people even realizing it. They own prime real estate in virtually every major city on Earth. And here's what makes this story even more incredible. While other companies were focused on their core business, McDonald's figured out how to make money from the location itself. They turned real estate from a cost center into a profit center. This model has been so successful that other companies are now trying to copy it. But McDonald's has a 70-year head start and owns some of the best commercial real estate in the world. It's almost impossible for competitors to catch up. The McDonald's real estate empire proves that sometimes the most successful businesses aren't what they appear to be on the surface. While everyone thought McDonald's was about fast food, they were actually building one of the world's most valuable real estate portfolios. Now let me blow your mind with the actual costs. To open a McDonald's franchise, you need $1.4 million to $2.4 million total investment, with $500,000 in liquid cash. The franchise fee is $45,000, plus 4% royalty and 4% marketing fees. So you're giving McDonald's 8% of gross sales before paying rent on their property. The average franchisee makes $150,000 yearly after all costs. But McDonald's collects rent, royalties, and fees from every location. They're expanding from 40,000 to 50,000 locations by 2027. That's $450 million just in franchise fees, plus decades of rent and royalties from each location. But here's what's really insane about these numbers. That $150,000 the franchisee makes. McDonald's corporate makes way more than that from each location through rent and royalties. Some estimates suggest McDonald's corporate makes $300,000 to $400,000 per location annually, meaning they make double or triple what the person actually running the restaurant makes. McDonald's doesn't just pick random locations. They have real estate experts who identify high-traffic areas and growing neighborhoods where property values will increase. When they buy land, they're thinking 20 to 30 years ahead about appreciation, not just today's burger sales. This long-term thinking has created something incredible. McDonald's has repeatedly bought land in areas that seemed marginal at the time, but became incredibly valuable later. They bought properties in developing suburbs in the 1960s and 70s that are now worth millions. They invested in international markets decades before other companies saw the potential. This created something incredible. McDonald's owns prime real estate in virtually every major city worldwide. Times Square, Champs-Élysées, downtown Tokyo. These aren't just restaurants. They're some of the most valuable commercial real estate on Earth. When a location closes, McDonald's doesn't lose money because they still own the property. This is why McDonald's survived the 2008 financial crisis better than most companies. While other businesses struggled with rent payments, McDonald's was collecting rent from thousands of franchisees. They operate in over 100 countries using the same model. They buy prime property and lease it to local franchisees who understand the market. This global strategy means McDonald's is betting on worldwide urban growth. As cities expand and real estate values increase, McDonald's properties become more valuable. They're not just in the restaurant business. They're in global real estate development. The scale is mind-blowing. McDonald's real estate portfolio includes restaurants, distribution centers, and corporate offices worth billions across every continent except Antarctica. They make more money from real estate than most dedicated real estate companies, while everyone thinks they just sell Happy Meals. Here's another layer to this empire that will shock you. McDonald's has become so sophisticated in real estate that they now offer consulting services to other companies looking to expand internationally. They've essentially monetized their location expertise, teaching other businesses how to pick winning real estate while competing with them for customers. The technology behind their site selection is also incredible. McDonald's uses advanced analytics, satellite imagery, and demographic modeling to predict which locations will be successful 10, 20, even 30 years in the future. They're not just buying land, they're buying the future growth potential of entire neighborhoods. So the next time you drive past a McDonald's, remember, you're not just looking at a restaurant. You're looking at a piece of a $42 billion real estate empire that generates more wealth than most countries' entire economies. You're looking at the result of the most successful business model transformation in modern history. And that's the shocking truth about how McDonald's really makes money. They figured out that being a landlord is way more profitable than being a restaurant owner, and they've been collecting rent from their own franchisees for decades while everyone thought they were just selling burgers. They turned fast food into a real estate empire, and now they're unstoppable. Hit that subscribe button to discover more hidden business secrets that billion-dollar companies don't want you to know about.